I would love if anyone's listening here, right, and they've got the beans to do it. Give me a ring, no problem. I'm probably a hard fella to work for, because I'm obsessed about what I do. So if you don't have an obsession, we're not going to share a common interest.
How are you, lads? Welcome to another cracking episode of Irish Success Podcast. And today we're going to talk about how to sell shit. We have a sales superstar here, Ryan O'Leary, who is the salesman behind the Bobby products, the wheelbarrows, the rubble bags. So today we're going to talk about how Ryan did it all, and we're going to talk about some sales tips. So how are you, Ryan?
Good. Thank you for having me here today, Lucas.
Well done, well done.
Great to meet you.
Could you quickly just introduce yourself and tell us what you're all about, and then we're going to get into the sales.
Yeah, so my name is Ryan O'Leary, and at the minute I'm running a brand called Bobby Products Ireland. Our website is bobby.ie. I come from a family background of construction supplies. The family business would be called the Fixing Company, which my father established in 1985, which provided great for us growing up as a family, and we're still going. The business is succeeding great. And in the crash of 2009 to 10, we could see the construction had started to dry up. So I kind of pivoted towards the DIY merchant end of things.
Yes.
And that proved to be very successful for us. And we decided, okay, let's get involved more here. So
in developing your own products, basically, for DIY
so
sector.
The rest of the family involved in the Fixing Company would be more end user based within the Fixing Company. And this was kind of my thing to push on with the shops and the wholesale resale market. So we were walking trade shows, stuff like this, trying to find a product to kind of bring to the market that we hadn't seen, that had been done in a certain way that we'd like to do it from a branding perspective. So we started with wheelbarrows.
That's what I was going to get into. Your two most successful products are the wheelbarrows and the rubble bags. Am I correct?
Yes. So, the seasonal, really, the wheelbarrows would outpace any other product.
Everybody knows your wheelbarrows, by the way. Anybody, every supermarket, business providers you
For
walk
me,
into,
that was the drive, was to try and have something in the market. Having been involved in the Fixing Company as a teenager and into my early 20s, we were carrying other people's product ranges. So when we're selling into the market, we have direct competition with other distributors with the same product range. So, and that was the same when I started with the merchant business, be it selling rolls of polythene or basically commodity products. You're basically being pinned against your nearest competitor for the same product. So the big thinking on the Bobby thing was, could we have our own product in the market without a direct competitor, have our own stands display within the shops that we can replenish stock each month, bit of brand loyalty, and that we could secure the product, that the orders were going to be there for us, not just this chase against somebody else selling the same thing. So the Bobby brand has delivered us a lot of brand recognition in the market. It's brought us repeat business that we weren't used to getting previously in our end user business. And
tell me, Ryan, who is Bobby? Because a friend of mine told me about you many long time ago, 2 years ago.
It's an interesting story. Well, it's not that interesting, I suppose. My father's name is Bob Robert. A lot of people would know my dad in the industry as Bob O'Leary. He's out on the road selling since 1985. He was previously with another distribution company. He decided to go out on his own. And the respect I'd have for my father would be huge. And that drove me to want to name my son after my father.
Well done.
And I named my son Bobby. And it just coincided in around the time of trying to launch a company for the hardware industry that Bobby was born. And I got onto the wheelbarrow factory, and I said, just before we go with this order, how much would it cost to put a nameplate on the side of it? This was originally a company in Italy that we started to deal with, and they said it's 500 quid. So
not all.
Yeah, this was back in 2012. So I said, okay, look, let's do it. So the first order came in, it was only a pallet or two at the time, and they were branded Bobby, and they were gone within a week or two. So at the time, we had to pay cash up front. Ireland was in a bad place at the time. We were in 2012, and anyone that was in the industry will tell you there was fires being lit everywhere. So myself and my wife, we flew to Italy to this factory, and put my Sunday best on, put the Ralph Lauren shirt on, tried to make the best impression, and we hired a little smart car and we drove up to the north of Italy 2 hours, and we went to this little factory, and I was basically begging for credit, basically, because I hadn't got the cash to do it, and made music with the factory anyway. We communicated.
And did they give
well.
you credit?
Yeah, so he said, okay, I'll back you with 1 container credit. So I said, okay, great. We went on the piss, myself, my wife, that night. We were delighted. We were like, right, we're on. We have something to kind of run with here. So the part of the deal was that they didn't supply anyone else in Ireland. That was a big thing for me, having been involved, like I said, with the end user business, the agencies we were carrying. We never really locked into being exclusive to ourselves. So it was something for me that if I was going to run with something, I wanted to be exclusive in the market.
Yes.
So they agreed with us. That'd be another story how that panned out. It didn't go like they said it would. Italians being Italians, maybe.
But there you go. Can we go to a look? So you had an idea for a product. You found a supplier somewhere abroad. You flew and you asked for a credit. So realistically, do you need a bunch of money to start a business, to start a product?
You need to know that if you keep focusing on a product and the margin of what it can deliver, I think you'll find a flaw with any product. For me, it was about, can I create something and let the money follow later, if that makes sense. The margin we make on a wheelbarrow today is twice what we made at the start. So
it's always harder at the start.
Yeah, and I think any accountant would look at this product and say, well, why are you selling a wheelbarrow with X amount of margin on it? And at the time, you could sell another product to an end user and make double the margin. So people were asking me, why would you bother with this product? But I knew that if we could get brand identity out there, brand awareness, if you like, and brand loyalty, if you like, that there's some people in the market now and they'll only use a Bobby wheelbarrow. So once we've got that kind of commitment to the product, the margin follows in behind it. So yes, wheelbarrows initially are not a lucrative product to pick up and import into Ireland.
No.
There's a lot of other things, but they have proved to be the billboard of the brand and create that name and get it out there. And like you said, you've seen it. There's other people that see it, and to be honest with you, the ones that say they don't see it, they're just jealous fuckers. A lot of them, So yeah, and what I still get a buzz 10 years later that if I come to a set of traffic lights and I see a wheelbarrow and it's a Bobby wheelbarrow, and if it's not a Bobby wheelbarrow, I get pissed off about it. So you got to have that buzz, and to me, that's my buzz. The money, obviously, I need to make money somewhere along the way, but I think if you have that passion and want to do something as much as I've wanted to do it, the money will follow you. And it has, thankfully, it's starting to come around now that yes, we are getting a better margin than we did initially to launch the product. We're getting repeat business. We have competitors doing an awful job of trying to replicate what we've done. I can't probably name the names, but they've done a shit job of trying to copy what we've done. And when they go in and offer a wheelbarrow now, it's not so much like it used to be about, well, you're cheaper, so we give you the order. It's no, we have our Bobby stand, we have our customers that like the product, we have all the colours of the wheelbarrows outside the door, we like it, it fits with our shop portfolio. So I'm not up against the price anymore, which was the main objective, was to put a product in the market that's not directly compared on price. And for
so
me,
you can sell it at large volume then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's give the listeners let's give the listeners some tips, because you are old school sales superstar. That's how I see you. So let's give the people some maybe lessons on sales. Because you're known everywhere. Your products are everywhere. How would somebody go about putting themselves out there? Well, what does your day look like? Do you contact a lot of shops, or do they contact you?
Every evening, I would plan out my day in my head. So when my wife thinks I'm watching some show on Netflix, my head, the cogs are moving. And anyone in business will tell you that. Sometimes your wife is talking to you about something and your head is thinking about something else. It might be a guy that owes you money. It might be something you forgot to do. But if you're in business, it's eyes open till eyes shut, as people will tell you. So you're just constantly thinking about it. And so yeah, I plan my day every evening for the next day. So I can tell you, sitting here now on Monday, I'm going to head to Newry and I'm going to work my way back down and finish in Balbriggan by 1 o'clock. That would involve calling to, say, 6 to 10 hardware stores. So planning is a big thing, I would say, to any salesperson. And don't be afraid to take a bit of time off too. On a Friday afternoon, make sure you've earned it, but go get your hair cut. Go meet your wife for a bit of lunch with the kids or whatever. Because nobody really wants to see a sales rep on a Friday.
No.
And what I've noticed in the COVID as well, a lot of people got involved in sales, and they can piss off the customer a lot. There's a skill involved too.
Yeah,
You got to
not
be able to
too
read your
pushy.
customer, you know. And there's some customers that I'd know not to go into on a Monday morning if Liverpool lost on a Sunday.
Oh,
Do you know? And that sounds silly and immature, but these guys would be in bad humour on a Monday. It wouldn't affect me if any football team lost. Do you know, they don't give a shit about me, these fellas. But some people it does. Fine.
Yeah.
So you got to tiptoe around different customers, understand their mood, understand you don't go to that guy on a Friday, or he doesn't like you ringing him, he only likes you texting him. And so sales is about understanding personalities for me and working with those people. That I can go from South Dublin and then go to a different side of Dublin, and how you approach those two calls is totally different. So being able to adapt to the situation and find common ground as quick as you can with the person. And I think a lot of the sales stuff that's in books and stuff is bullshit. And you can't teach a person to be a salesperson. And then there's other people going around calling themselves salespeople, but to me they're order takers.
Yeah. There's a
And
difference between
Yeah,
salesperson and
like
order
you're either
taker.
an order creator or an order taker. And I've gone into places and I'd look at the stand and I go, while I'm waiting to talk to the guy, and I go, oh shit, the stand is full. What am I going to do here now? He doesn't look like he needs anything. So you rack your brain as quick as you can, find a gap on the shelf. If there's no gap, think of the product, the new product you have that he's not buying, and just figure out quick the opportunity that you're going to put to him. And with the guys in the hardware stores, if you find you get about a minute or two of their real attention, after that they're tuning out, you're annoying them. So you got to be quick, brief, get to the point. And once you've got what you needed, which realistically is in order, you need to fill your diary, fill the page. Once you've got that, get out of there. Don't overstay your welcome. And what I found as well is some hardware stores would have 6 to 7 at least sales guys calling in per day.
Oh, really? So they're
So
really,
you can get the rough end of the stick, and you got to be tough skinned for it. You know, you can be like the lucky guy in Spain. You know, when you're sitting there having dinner and he comes around, you're nice to the first guy, but when the next guy comes along and you're just about to take a bite of your pizza, you feel like saying, fuck off. So we can feel that, and any sales guy listening to this will tell you, guys can be really dismissive to you. And, you know, I know you introduced me as the main sales guy, whatever, but there's no glam in this game. People, it'll make you feel like shit very quick. And sometimes it can be jealousy from these guys in the hardware stores, maybe even, you know, because they see the freedom we might have driving around all day or whatever it might be, but you got to be careful, you know.
Sometimes it's a staff. So if you're talking to the boss in a hardware store, it's obviously different than when you're talking to an employee as well, and the employee might, might be.
I love the independent hardware stores, to be honest, and unfortunately they're getting few and far between because a lot of the bigger guys have bought up these shops over the last few years because of the mini boom we might have had or whatever. So independent hardware stores are getting fewer and far between, but to me they're a great customer to call on, because you call in, you meet the owner at the trade counter most of the time. He can do a deal with you right there and then, and he loves to make a deal. These guys, they might, and because they love to show their staff that they've done a bit of haggling and try and entice them to do the same. The bigger guys, you got to build a business around for them to take notice. And for me to get the brand out there initially was about getting it into the smaller guys, the easier guys, if you like, that you can go in, like I said, and make the deal at the trade counter.
And work your way up to the bigger
Yeah, well,
guys.
then all of a sudden, like, I can give you an example, and this is gospel. I'll show you the email. I was driving along in March, just out of the blue, down the nice road, say, email comes through of the biggest retail hardware store in the country. Probably shouldn't name their name, but people can figure it out. And basically the email said, "Hi, we are reviewing our spring promotion flyer. We would like to invite you in to look at your range of wheelbarrows." That was them coming to me, not me going to them. So that spells out 1,000 things to me. That tells me that you've created a brand that they have become aware of, and that they have decided to go and pull the boat in rather than waiting for me to come to them. That happened in April. We met them, we've done business with them, and what that has done for the business then is huge, because now all of a sudden there's this trust in the brand that if they have it, it must be good. So you can find, even when you get in with these guys, then other hardware stores that might have been dismissive of the quality or reluctant to try it, including, say, the Bobby Bond as a sealant alternative to one of the biggest ones in the market, once they see it in there, they're ringing you then, and they're like, we want what they have. So I can feel customers coming from the west of Ireland and stuff now that would have initially not entertained you, but they've been to their local retail big store that we've mentioned, and they see it there, and they want everything those guys have. So that's really pushed me in a fast-flowing direction of growth in the last couple of months, where there's new shoots popping up everywhere of new opportunities for hardware stores.
Where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years? Because you're pretty much everywhere with this stuff. Is there more products on the line? Or maybe could you talk a little bit about the new products that you have here on the table?
Yeah, so the Bobby bags are just one of those things. It's all about product placement within the store. Nobody really goes out of their way to go and buy these. But if they're perfectly placed at the till, like a pack of chewing gums, they're a grab-and-go item.
Yes. Same with the wipes.
Yeah. The wipes, COVID, obviously, these were like liquid gold. Sales of those have really slowed up as regards compared to COVID, but they're a consistent reorder product for us. And for me, it's about having a space within the store with regular moving items. So what I've done, what I don't want Bobby to be is an own brand label, if you like, where we just find whatever crap we can and put the name on it. So we're at it 10 years. We've only got 10 products. We've been slow about it. You know, I get emails every day. Do you want measuring tapes with your name on it? Do you want hand saws with your name on it? And it's very easy to create another 20 product lines. But then you've just created a load of crap, potentially. It can spiral out of control then. Then you end up with a lot of dormant stock as well, which is something I'll be conscious of, which is basically not to be sitting on too much stock. So one of the main ways to avoid that for me has been shopping in Europe as well. And to be honest with you, to help get the business going, I've had to use the credit lines available within Europe. So basically the wheelbarrows are coming from Spain. I can buy them in Turkey and save, say, €4 or €5 a wheelbarrow. But you've got to pay those guys up front. So I try to tend to work back to back with what I'm giving out the door. So I'm giving out 60 to 90. I'm looking for the same. And I'm quite transparent with my suppliers. Here's where your stuff is going. Do you want to partner with me on this?
And can I ask you a question? So let's say a random Joe Schmo like me, if I contacted some company and I said, well, I like your product. I have a shop here. I'm in position to sell a container of it per month. Would you give me a credit for that full container? Basically give me the stuff for free and I'll sell it. Would they say yes?
It depends. You know, everybody has a different approach to things. I have some companies contacting me at the minute, and we've been like what you might call a standoff, if you like, of they're telling me their product's great and I should brand it up and bring it in. I kind of agree with them on it. They're saying pay us up front. I'm looking at it going, well, if I pay you up front for that and I give it out to 100 stores, it's not really in it. Because, like I said a few minutes ago, it's 60 to 90 days terms. So I've had to be kind of slower about things and play it. If you really want to do business with me, these are the terms. And again, it's just looking to do back to back with what we're offering into the market. And including that big retail store that I mentioned, they're taking 90 days credit. So what's the margin that you need to
90
carry?
days is a long bloody time.
It is, yeah.
So
it is.
90 days is 3 months. So you basically have to allow for not be, and providing that you will actually get paid after the 90 days. Usually that's probably delayed as well.
Yeah, and they're taking settlement discounts and things like that. So for me, as well as shopping in Europe for credit, the products are good, better, if you like, than what I've experienced coming from China and stuff. Okay, there's guys listening here now and they say, well, I bring good stuff from China. There's a troubleshooting process to that as well. You know, there's a couple of containers of getting it wrong, and then you get it right. You got to have one container on the water. You got to have one container in stock. You got to have one container in production. So all of a sudden, it's not the price of one container to keep it consistently flowing as a product, not to run out of stock. So you're basically not investing in one container. You're investing in 3 to 4 times that, is how I would try and work it out in my head. So what I've done, like if you take the wheelbarrows, for example, every time we bring in the wheelbarrows, there's 1,000 in a container. You'll have 10 to 15 of those defected. Okay.
Due to the transport?
No, well, it could be the transport. It could be the guy who was hung over in the factory and he drilled the holes wrong. Whatever. Or they just threw you in 10 flat wheels, whatever, you know. But we have the leverage of the credit facility with them to turn around and go, look, you owe us €220 credit note. If you've gone the China route and you've paid up front, any guy listening will tell you, end up just throwing it in the corner, forgetting about it. but it's eating into your margin. And my point is that cash flow means less margin too if it's tied up in stock. So you got to put all these things together and paint the picture. And to me, to grow the Bobby, we've stuck with Europe. They're supporting us with exclusivity. They're supporting us with credit. And as I said, if we need credit notes or we need certificates, anything like that, it's more readily available than I've found if you're shopping further away. And the loyalty is there for us within Europe and our suppliers, so we're sticking where we are. Now the Bobby bags, we've gone further afield. These are becoming a real hot seller for us.
I use a bunch of them. We actually buy every single van has 50 pack in the back of the van.
Now there's a guy that sells a lot of them too, and he's probably listening going, he's coming for me because I've been busy selling them the last while, because we brought our first container of them just in there 3 weeks ago. And people have been asking me, how did you find the factory and blah, 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 blah. And I was literally just Googling the fuck out of it. Going back maybe down to page 4 or 5 of Google, this sort of thing. And troubleshooting it, sending emails, and it's like looking for a girlfriend. You mightn't get it right the first time, but you just keep going at it and you find it. So I made music with this factory anyway, and been emailing back and forth with them about 6 months ago, and we brought in our first container. Then it landed 2 weeks ago. Price wise, it's huge saving for us, being able to offer better value into the market. Customers that we previously would have had to say, look, it's not in it for us, I'm kind of going back around to them now, going, we're here, we're ready to supply it. We've got the margin, we've got the margin now to justify it for us. But that was a cash up front exercise, so it goes against what I was saying there. But again, the saving here was worth it, and it's hard to fuck up a bag. Expanding foams and stuff, I brought them in from Turkey. They half fill the cans. They just don't do what they're going to say they're going to do. And like, I got a bad batch of expanding foam before.
Oh, have you?
There's still
what happens then? What happens when you get a full container?
Well, like, so I brought in, so we're doing a foam pack, and it's basically 5 cans of foam, a gun and a cleaner and a pack. And up until that, we were packing them ourselves. So a guy came to me in Turkey, and he said, we can do these for you, packed, ready to go. So I was like, that's a no-brainer. It's cheaper and it's packed, ready to go. So we brought them into the market, and it was just dirt, absolute scrap. We had to send half it back. But up until even on Tuesday, I was in a hardware store, and he said, Ryan, I'm going to have to give you those foam packs back, which are the new stock we have. And I said, why? He said, because they're not selling. There's still a stigma around the last experience people had with it. So it can really fuck you up and put you on the back foot if you take a punt on a factory and it lets you down with the product that goes in your can, because it's your name on it,
your reputation as well. It's
important, and let's be honest, I would be the same if I bought something and it didn't do it. I'm not going to risk going home again with it and letting me down. So when you're in the hardware store and you're looking at the options, it's one option you're not going to pick. So that's one thing I've been mindful of, is not to kind of mess around with where you're buying stuff. Even though you're getting emails every day going, look, that thing you're buying for €1, I can do for you for 80 cents. And you're, as a businessman, you should probably hone in on the saving. But it's not always, there's collateral damage down the road, perhaps. It isn't obvious to see.
Sometimes the 20 cents doesn't justify it.
Yeah, but I've learned over time, because when I was involved in my father's business, the objective would have been to try and drive down our cost prices on materials. But now you kind of, the older you get, the more you go, hang on a sec, look, stick with your product, don't compromise the quality. And if it means it's a bit dearer in the market, the consistency is there with the quality, and eventually that kind of wins out.
And Ryan, would you ever consider hiring a salesman to outsource the sales and try to have some, let's say, 3 salesmen on the road going around and introducing the products to the shops?
I would love, if anyone's listening here, right, and they've got the beans to do it, give me a ring. No problem. I'm probably a hard fella to work for, because I'm obsessed about what I do. So if you don't have an obsession, we're not going to share a common interest. And I
love that.
and I understand if it's not your business, it's not your son's name on it. To me, that's a big driving factor for me. But like I said to you off camera, with sales staff, I find if they're really good, you've got a shelf life with them. Now that can be a good and a bad thing, because yes, they can open doors for you. And I've had staff with me in the past, they've opened sales doors, they've left, and we still have those customers. So yes, there is potential there in having a sales rep that goes off on doing his own thing, because he has opened doors for you. But my experience, there's not many rushing to do it at the minute. And
What if they're on commission?
yeah, but what I've found is talking to guys and stuff, the big companies are offering great packages. So if you're working in a big company and you want to call in sick, you just hit the app or whatever and you go, I'm having a duvet day or whatever they fucking call them, birthday days off or whatever. When you're working in a small business, and I've grown up in a family business, we don't do sick days. You know. And
How many times did you call in sick in the past 20
never,
years?
like, whether this is this macho man mentality or whatever, you know, and I have friends that will call in sick and they're taking the piss and stuff, but my worst nightmare would be stuck at home on a working day of the week watching daytime TV. I just feel like I'm getting left behind. So I just have to be part of what's going on during the week and justify that sitting down on the sofa that I've done X amount to you got to feel like you've done all you can in each day. But yeah, look, anyone listening, if you fancy a task at sales, I'm actually looking, but it's hard to get the people that want to do it at the minute. And I don't understand why, working with a small business, you feel like okay, you're being watched more. You're not getting the
Do you
package.
know why it's hard to find good salespeople? Because people usually have this idea in their head that they're coming to work to do a day's work instead of coming to work and bringing value to the company. So a good salesman would come to work and he would try to establish some sales with some, you know,
yeah,
but
like-
some other salesman might come in just to smash the eight hours and come home.
Yeah, like sales, if you have a good sales guy and he's on the golf course on a Friday, you don't really give a shit. You know, if he's delivered the results all week, leave him alone. You know, maybe he's with a customer golfing. So yeah, sales isn't 9 to 5. Sales could be 7 o'clock in the evening, dropping stuff to a guy's house and him remembering you for doing that for him and not worrying about, oh, you only got paid till 5. Or dropping stuff to a guy on the way to work at 7:30 and your shift doesn't start till 8:30. So anyone that thinks sales is a 9 to 5 is codding themselves. And I was away for a couple of weeks in the summer, but my phone is in my hand constantly, and you have to be there. I don't do out of office. I'm on annual leave. That doesn't happen in sales. You come, you either mind it or you lose it. Do you know that kind of way? And I have guys. You see me answering my phone before we come on air today, and you got to be there answering the phone to them. Be there. Be that guy that they know that when you're there, not this guy that just dumps a load of gear in, hits them with a voicemail and stuff, and it's bullshit.
There's a cool book. Have you ever heard of this book? It's called Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. And what he says in that book is basically that you need to develop a healthy obsession about your business. Look, I get goosebumps when I talk about it.
Yeah.
A healthy obsession about what you do. McGregor talks about it. You need to be just
what did he
crazy
say?
about
It's
your
like Van
craft.
Gogh. I lost my mind in the process, and I'm sure you found there's days where you're driving around going, my mind is fucking so occupied with so many things. But for me, when something really lands for you, be it getting listed with that big retail store, or like I said, even a set of traffic lights, seeing a wheelbarrow and a guy pushing it and knowing that he's part of a Dublin City Council, so they're buying them, all these things, they feed into more enthusiasm to go, okay, reload and go again. But you gotta, if you don't have that, if you don't get that buzz out of it, don't do it. You know, and for me, if some guy came working for me and he said to me, listen, I'm going to get listed, I'm going to get your products in X, Y or Z, and he achieves that, he has to get a buzz from that, as well as obviously financial reward or whatever, but you have to feel a buzz, not just money. I think, you know, a lot of people are listening to bullshit on TikTok and all these things, and you can drop ship it, you can do this with it, you can do that with it, and there's no...
It might be
it's
good
still
for a Mickey
graft,
Mouse
it's still,
start.
yeah, but hard graft still works, you know, and a mate of mine always says hard work works, you know.
Ryan, a question here about your wheelbarrows. I laboured for a long time back in the day, so, you know, I held wheelbarrows in my hands, and the one common problem I used to have with them is that they get a puncher. Have you ever thought about having a puncher-free wheelbarrow? Or maybe sell one of those cans with the wheelbarrow that you know, blow it in
What I
and
will
it
say
fixes
is, when you put your name on something, you can make yourself a target, okay? There's a lot of wheelbarrows in the market that are shit, right? But they've no name on it. So nobody really knows how to trace it back to get to the, when they're ordering something on the phone, to say, don't give me this one or whatever. But it's very easy, pinpoint, I don't want the Bobby wheelbarrow or whatever. So that branding the wheelbarrow has been obviously excellent at starting the brand, but it's also made you a target of scrutiny of quality and everything else that other distributors aren't getting, because it's not directly tapered back to them that it came from them, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So to answer your question, do I get customers saying the wheels are puncturing? They do. So what do we offer? We offer a puncture proof wheel. Do I get customers saying the wheelbarrows are shit? Yes, I do. I was in a hardware store, this is gospel, 2 weeks ago, and I deal with their other store. They have 2 shops in Kildare, and I went into their other store because they're not buying anything off me. And I said, hi, look, I do X amount with the guys up the road in your other store. And he said, nobody asks me for a Bobby wheelbarrow. In fact, he said they asked me not to give them a Bobby wheelbarrow.
No.
Swear to God.
Really?
So you're driving down the road, you feel like actually going back and, I don't know, pulling the guy over the counter, whatever. You know, anyone that's into what they're doing is going to take offence here, you know. And I am offended. Like, I'm upset,
yeah.
I'm upset, hurt, whatever way you want to put it. So you're distracted for an hour after this guy saying it to you. But some people think Rolls Royce are shit. Some people think Range Rover are shit. Do you know what I mean? How many people you know have had a Range Rover and the fucking thing's broke down after 2 weeks? So
that's me.
Yeah. So I have to be open to both sides of it. But you do get that all the time. In the early days of the wheelbarrows, people would say, will you get a heavier one? Will you get a better one? I brought these ones in from Germany before, and they were costing me, I think at the time, about €70, say. So you're trying to put them out at 85 to 90 on a wholesale price. I had to take half of them back. They weren't selling. Ireland as a country, as a wheelbarrow, thinks they should be 50 quid.
Do you know what? My strong suggestion is don't take seriously comments on TikTok or on internet, because they are usually made by fools, absolute fools. Because I had the same story with my hoodies that I was trying to bring for the car business, you know what I mean? And I said I'm going to bring the best. People said bring a good durable hoodie so we can buy it. And that's what we did. We found a hoodie for I think 60 quid and we were trying to sell it for 80 quid.
Yeah.
Nobody bought them because they were too expensive for 80 quid. But they were the most expensive I could find, the best quality. And then we brought some shite and it's selling.
So we have to try work. Can we bring in a wheelbarrow? Can we make a margin and still offer to the retail end user at 55 to 60 euro? So there's a compromise on quality there. There has to be. But what we do is we back it up with spare parts. And like I've had situations where, just say we would sell 50 wheelbarrows to a distributor in Cork. All those customers we online then are coming and buying the spare wheels directly from ourselves. So we're actually making a really good margin on the spare parts as well. Sometimes a better margin on the spare parts than the initial wheelbarrow sale, because when the wheelbarrows are going to Cork, you've logistics and all those things involved, and you're giving credit on it to a reseller. We can see Cork, say Clare, Tipperary, these odd counties, people buying spare wheels. So they're loving that we're backing them up with spare parts, but we're also enjoying the spare part sales as well, because it's like making money on the same thing twice. You know, so you made, just say, €10 on the wheelbarrow when you sold it, and then you make another few bob on the wheel. So you didn't think, you know, one product is bringing you recurring income in a way. But the big thing with the Bobby we've noticed is we're one of the few that are backing it up with spare parts. You know, as I said, we can.
So let's say somebody's wheelbarrow breaks, they can go onto your website and buy the spare parts?
Go on a website, yeah, and you could, and believe it or not, it's only an extra, say, €15 to get a complete wheelbarrow. But I think some people have a connection with their wheelbarrow and they might have done something with it and they want to keep it, and, you know, man, and their tools, whatever way it is.
Or they just genuinely like recycling. That's the way I am. I always try to repair the stuff that I have instead of putting it in the bin. It's all about landfill and recycling, isn't it? Yeah,
well, that's true too. Yeah. And that's what we will be working on in the new year, which is the Bobby Bond adhesive. We'll be working on a foil pack, which is called a sausage pack, which is basically a collapsible tube, because there's a lot of plastic waste with these guys.
Can you tell us the ridiculous story that you had with your competitor?
Well, like,
I think we can say it.
Yeah, like, people think that you sit down in a room and you brainstorm these ideas, and I don't. You know, I'm sitting watching the telly and I'm just, like I said earlier, the cogs are always moving, and I'm like, Bobby Bond, an adhesive, you know. And we had seen a company called Tech 7 in the market, and we had seen what they were doing. We knew the margins they were working off because we know the cost of such a product. They've done an amazing job, and credit to them. How they marketed it back in the initial stages still demands loyalty. Obviously, the product is good too, so they've got their customer loyalty. But we knew that there was end users that were sick of paying that premium for the product and were open to trying alternative products, especially if it done the same job.
Yeah.
So I got busy I had the idea in my head. I got busy trying to find who was making that for them, or who was making that for somebody else in a different market. So I went to Holland. I found a factory that sells the equivalent of Tech 7 in Holland under a brand name called Connect Adhesive. And they said, look, we'll brand your label exclusively for you for Ireland. And I looked at the cost. I looked at what Tech 7 were charging. And I was like, we can still make a healthy margin here and offer good value to the customer. So the marketing budget was very little. So I was like, how do I grab attention here? So I just tiddled the beast, you know. I said, right, let's do a little bit of Tesco versus Aldi, Coke versus Pepsi, and I'm Googling cola wars at home. I'm trying to find examples of comparable ads, and fine line obviously between being clever and smart and trying to be cool about your ads and being illegal. So we stayed within those parameters. I lashed it out onto all media platforms. Customers were talking about it and everything. So we were getting this traction that cost me nothing. And everybody even wanted to hear about the product, see the product. What's this product that Ryan's going after Tech 7 with and stuff like that. So yeah, it got notoriety straight away. And this product have people, they're just coming back for it all the time. We have customers now, and there's like, you're talking a 50% saving on Tech 7.
It is. How much is it, Tech 7? 17 quid?
15, 17 quid, depending on where you're shopping. But we find the only ones that are really...
How much does Bobby retail for?
So Bobby Bond in your local retailers, say within a mile radius of here, is averaging between 8 to 10 euros. So there's a huge saving there.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's a fine line between, if it goes too cheap, they're wondering why it's too cheap.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to pick the right price point too, which is, you know, sometimes you can scare the customer away by being too cheap on the product.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you look at Tech 7 as a company and you're watching the TV on Saturday, they'll have an ad on Sky Sports. They have ads at racetracks. They have ads at football grounds, all these things. All those things are added up and put into the cost of the product, let's be honest.
True.
So it's a bit like Ryanair, you know, he's selling you a cheap seat, but you got to pay to where you want to sit, all these things. They built all that in a bit like Aer Lingus, and they charge you the premium. So to us, by stripping away the marketing budget of not doing TV ads and stuff, we've been able to offer this at a price that is competitive to the end user and to the wholesale customer, who was experiencing customers coming in going, look, I'm not paying you €15 for that. Do you have an alternative? That's where we're coming in. You know, we're not trying to replace Tech 7 in the market. They've done a great job. Best of luck to them. What we're trying to do is go, look, if you don't want to pay that, and most of the time the guys paying the money for it, they're paying it with somebody else's money.
Yeah.
It's either a council or a government body,
Yeah.
or some guy that was sent down to get it for the boss. But the real guys that are dealing with the cost of things, be it the boss of the company coming in, and they're the ones that are enthusiastic about looking at alternatives. And we can really see it in the last year as the squeeze is put on budgets of contracts. We all know what happened with prices and stuff like that, that people are starting to look around now and they're going, well lads, don't be going there and paying 12 quid for that. I can get this for 8 quid or 15 quid or whatever. So alternatives are being looked at more so than they might have been in the past. We're ready. We have the product. And, you know, I had a target at the start of doing 1,000 tubes a month. That was the target. Like the wheelbarrows, 1,000 wheelbarrows. We've done that. And I just checked the figures before we come over. Last month we done 6,500 tubes of Bobby Bond just in a month into the market. So from nothing X amount of years ago to that, we're gaining.
It's a huge success.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to go back a little bit because, you know, the difference, sometimes people, you might go into a shop and you look at two products and you're wondering, what the hell is the difference in those two products?
Yeah.
You know, if there's...
Well, to be honest, I wasn't too creative with it. It does exactly the same as Tech 7. It bonds, mounts and seals.
Yeah.
And anyone watching this with a tube of Tech 7 in the back of the van, look at theirs, it says the exact same thing.
Yeah. But see, people don't realize that this is exactly what you just said. You know, I want to emphasize on this a little bit more because people don't realize sometimes you might have two the same products, but the marketing, the overheads that the other companies might have is huge.
Yeah.
That's why they can't offer it at such a price.
And I suppose they helped with the success because they went out and retaliated against us, and they acknowledged us in the market by doing that. And they even threatened legal stuff and everything else with us. But all that's doing, if you're like me, is it's like a catalyst inside you. It's like, I'm gonna, you know, okay, you want to have it out, let's do it. So it drives you on. People saying that you shouldn't be doing it, you can't do it, all these things. So they're ways of encouraging me to do it. Sometimes I find everybody saying you're great at what you do isn't really what you want to hear. Sometimes it's putting more pressure on you. Sometimes what you need is somebody saying you can't do it, and you just set on this path of, okay, let's see, can I do it? And when they came after us in a legal capacity or whatever, it was like, well, fuck you, then. You know, you think they own the market. They were first to the party, fair enough. But we're coming and we're taking our market share. As I said, 6,000 tubes a month last month. Somebody's feeling it somewhere. And hopefully it's our friends.
It's a roaring success, I have to say.
Yeah.
And see, because from what we're talking here, your knowledge in the sales game, it's astonishing. Okay, have you ever read any books? Did you take any courses?
No,
This is all natural.
anyone listening today that I'm part of the fixing company. It was bred into us as kids. The respect we have for my father is huge. He's an amazing salesperson. He doesn't even have to issue a price list to people. People just gravitate towards him as a salesperson, and the respect he has in the market is huge. So I've had a great mentor growing up, and the business
brilliant.
The business running end of it I was able to grab from my mother. They've been a great team growing up. So I've grown up in a family business. It's amazing to be part of, and what we've got to enjoy, the fruits of that labour, if you like. But at the same time, it's like you get a silver spoon, you got to try turn it golden. You know, if
great expression.
Yeah, if I do really well, fuck him. He got a great start. He was bound to do well. If you do bad, well, you got a great chance and you fucked it up. You know, so I've listened to your podcasts of previous episodes, and a few guys on saying they started with nothing and the whole lot. That's not me. I didn't start with nothing. We grew up in a business where my father was doing really well, but we came to fucking nothing in 08 to 2010.
I think everybody came to nothing back then.
And we couldn't even get an ounce of credit on the place. So that humbled me a bit, you know, because up until then, I'd only grown up in a good lifestyle, if you like. So I think I needed that phase of my life between 08 to 2010 where you kind of got humbled a bit. Everything that was happening wasn't happening again, and, you know, things that were just, you got used to. So we were really back again the wall, and we're better people for it. It brought us together as a family. We rallied together. We had the banks chasing us. A lot of stuff you've heard before off different people, but we had our little war story, if you like. And watching my father now see the success of the business bounce back, you know, because it was touch and go. It really got fucking hairy, and people that you thought were your friends, suppliers wise and stuff, wouldn't even answer the phone.
Oh,
you know. And we've even had people coming in taking stuff off our shelf, you know. And it hurts you, you know. I've seen my father in a space where we'd never seen him before. This hero being rattled by the economy, if you like. But his resilience, that's where it all comes from us. My brother's listening here when they tell you, my father's in work at 7:30 every morning. So we got to be there before him, you know. He's pushing us to be better people by demonstrating it himself all the time. And
look, we're going to switch the topic a little bit to the parenting, you know. Look how important it is to have a father when you're growing up, you know. It's super important, isn't it? Like, look, all your work ethic and all your attitude came from your father.
It's amazing, and, you know, it's like he's such a good person, I suppose, that it puts pressure on you too. And anything that's good coming from me, people will use it as a way of criticising you, you know. They might say, she'll hear that off your dad, or you learned that off your dad, or whatever. Okay, I fucking did.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. What do you want me to do about it? I can only play the cards.
It's jealousy.
Yeah, I can only play the cards I'm dealt with, you know. And I wasn't great in school. I left school at whatever, done my leaving cert, and I went to work with my dad on the Monday. Why not? He's created this platform for us. And why did he do it if we're not there to help him with it? Do you know that kind of way? And yes, okay, I mightn't have proved myself in working in other sectors. Okay, I had a lot of part-time jobs before that, but you know, some people go, you've always worked for your dad or whatever, and I even get people going, oh shit, that's Bob, your dad or whatever. But you learn to just brush it off, and people that matter. You know, the people that you really want to get the credit off, they're there with you. And yeah, it can be, as I said, a blessing and a curse in respect of having a father that's so good at doing what he's doing, but also trying to create your own identity can be difficult because he's such a strong personality within the industry. But I didn't learn my sales out of a book to summarise it. No.
Well, that's what I wanted to hear.
We share an office together, like me and my brothers and my father, a sales office, and we're all there at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the evening. I'm still listening to him on the phone, picking up little words he might say or ways he shows gratitude to customers. Whatever it is, you're still feeding off it. And I've watched him with friends of his retire and stuff, and some of them are dead now from retiring. And some people would say to me, oh man, you're successful, why don't you retire? And it's routine.
The funny statistic is that people who retire usually die 15 younger than people that don't. And that's a real statistic.
You either use this or you lose it, you know, and you got to fucking You got to stay
That's
in.
a true statistic that is frightening.
Yeah.
People think they're waiting till they retire.
Yeah.
But what happens then?
Yeah.
All your friends are still working.
What my father has taught us as well as sales, is routine. You're fucking nothing without a routine. You know, I got up this morning at 5:30 to go to the gym. I was bollocks tired, didn't want to do it. But I knew I was coming here. I knew I'd be a better person after it. Dragged myself out of it. And it was great at 8 o'clock then. I'm full of caffeine after doing the gym. You're ready for it. As opposed to, like, these guys leaving the house having a bowl of Frosties and all. They're fucking miles behind you at 8:30, dropping the kids to school or whatever. You're 10 steps ahead of them.
Oh, yeah.
So
imagine if you do it for 5 years straight.
Yeah. My advice to people as well would be, have a routine and don't fucking bend it for anybody. Well, you know, including your missus or whatever. Have your time every week that you segregate, whether it's your gym time or whatever. Because fellas can get caught up with the family life and, you know, you lose your own bit of time, be it for the gym or whatever. And I'd be a real routine man, and I think that's a real key to the success of the product. That I have a group of guys and we meet up every morning in the gym, 5:45, and we share ideas. We're sitting in the sauna, we're brainstorming, we're feeding off each
I like
other.
that gym. What gym do you go to?
I go to the Castleknock Hotel, yeah. Actually, I go with a friend of mine, Barry Connolly. He asked me would I mention him today. He's,
There you go. How are you, Barry?
He's Barry of All Stop Trading, and he's doing really successful. You should have him on here.
What
he's
does he
doing
do?
Catering equipment, refrigeration, stuff like that, and yeah, he'd be a good guy to have a chat with. He's done very well for himself, and he's on the good path.
Lovely. You'll give him
But
his
the point of that is, you know, people always say surround yourself with people who think the same. It's true. I know it's a cliche thing, but
some people might say, where do you meet them? If you don't have the connections yet, you know. That's a tough one, isn't it?
yeah, I don't know. Without sounding cocky, some of them are kind of coming to me now, because they see what you're doing, they like what you're doing, and they're trying to maybe learn a bit off you, and I'm equally learning something in return.
There needs to be exchange of value, you know, because if you're a lazy
some people
little
are
piece of
information
shit and you're
gatherers
trying to
only,
make
you know.
friends-
Yeah, I find some people are just fucking interviewing you and quizzing the fuck out of you, and you're like, well, what's in this for me?
Yeah.
You know, that sounds selfish, but like,
That's how the world works.
yeah. So the older you get, the more you surround yourself with people with a common interest and a common objection. You know what I mean? Of want to go to the fucking same places, and routine for any guy listening. that
I
wants-
love that. I love the fact that you mentioned the routine, because you know the whole idea of this podcast is that whoever listens or watches this, they're gonna take some value from it. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that, you know, work is the 8 hours a day, 8 to 5, which is a joke. In the success world, it doesn't exist.
I was sitting watching the TV last night at last Friday at 7:30, and there's a guy texting me saying the bobby blades are shite, the diamond blades. You know, now most fellas would just fuck the phone there and say see you later. But I had to put this to bed, so I'm back and forth with the WhatsApp, and I'm kind of ignoring the kids, this sort of thing. So it's an obsession, you know, and it can affect what's going on at home, because it does affect. If I have a really good day, I'm a much nicer person coming in the evening. And some people can park it. I can't really park it. It's everything to me. And I had a really good day. Yesterday I said, let's go out for dinner. You know, and it's hard to be around for the people that you love. But they signed up for it, and we're all on this path together. When Daddy has a good day, we all have a good day. And, you know, it's emotional roller coaster. But I think when you get a high and you get a good day, there's nothing going to trump that.
Yeah.
And obviously when you get a low day, it's fucking terrible. You know, when you're a salesperson, you don't have a trade. Okay, so if I go bust tomorrow, what am I in the working world? You got to go prove yourself somewhere doing something else. And when it's your son's name on it and you drive a Jeep with fucking orange riding on it, you don't really want to mess it up. You know, he's looking in on me going, Dad, how's it going? Every evening he'd say, Dad, did you have a busy day or whatever?
How old is your son, by the way?
10.
Oh, he's 10 already.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. And so it just puts this pressure on you, which is probably what I need. You know, if it was a job somewhere, I would have quit it by now. There's been dark days doing this. You know, there's been days where, as I said, you go into hardwares, they're dog rude to you. There's been days where you might drive from Cavan to fucking Navan and sell fucking nothing. There's been days where a hardware will go bust on you. There's been really shit times. And you'd say, why do I bother my arse doing this? But there's just something that just you keep rolling and rolling and rolling, and
The never give up thing really applies.
yeah, I know
to
it sounds
the
like a
never
real
give up.
Rocky type of bullshit
yeah.
statement, but I live in the movie sometimes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I love watching Rocky when he calls the sun outside and fucking, the world meets nobody halfway and all these fucking things. If you want it, you got to go take it. Live in those moments. It might be Hollywood stuff, but whatever kind of motivates you. Conor McGregor, okay, people can say this and the other. He's a huge fucking influence on a lot of people, and a lot of people don't admit that. What he's done and created is fucking amazing, And there's people that hate him and they still can't resist going to his pub and stuff. He's created it, and I know people that know him, and they say his work ethic, they've never seen anything like it. He micromanaged everything on that pub when it was opening. He's a workaholic. And I found him an inspiration over the last few years, and other personalities too. And I think you kind of have to have some sort of a feeder that feeds your enthusiasm back, that you can go to and look in, and whether it's a clip of a movie or whatever it is, find something that just boom, like I on Sunday evening, I go, right, fuck, where am I going tomorrow? And I go for a drive in the car, just throw on a few power pallets or whatever it is, and get the head ready for Monday. You got to be prepped. And another thing for me would be intermittent fasting as well. I'd be a big advocate of that.
Could we elaborate on that? I did a day of this the other day and I felt great.
Yeah, I find, I was only over in the Spar there in Ballymount beforehand, and you see lads going in getting 6 sausage rolls for €2 and stuff. You're fucked for the day after you eat that. Okay, if you go back thousands of years or whatever, we were hunter-gatherers. Yeah, we left the house hungry and we went and hunted for dinner for the family. Yeah, now we're leaving the house, glucose levels through the fucking roof, cereal, toast, butter, all that shite, and it's floating around you. It's your mental clarity is foggy. What I've learned from it, in my personal experience, I'm not hungry when I'm driving around in the mornings. I'm sharp. I'm much more sharper than I'd be if I consumed a breakfast roll or any sort of pastry shite in the mornings. And when you get to 2 o'clock, I kind of feel like, okay, I've earned it. I'd have a few sales done. I sit down and I go, yeah, you've earned this. Yeah. It might sound silly, but
every single legend does that. And I've learned that from the McGregor and the Tates. They do that. They wouldn't eat breakfast.
Yeah, I have not ate today. And I don't anyone listening, they might know this, the Alti Peak training in Junction 6, very good. It's an altitude chamber. So we're in there for 45 minutes this morning, sweating about 600-700 calories. There's other people probably listening going, that's a shy form of training. I'm not going there to look like fucking whatever. I'm going there to feel for the head. So you're leaving there this morning, pumped, ready to go. And as I said, the best thing I'd recommend for any man to clear the head in the mornings is don't be filling yourself with crap. The ones that told us to eat breakfast were the ones selling it to you, Kellogg's. Yeah.
There's also a lot of science behind fasting. I've heard that if you starve yourself for 24 hours, your body starts regenerating.
I've done 48 hours before.
And then you do 48. And then if you can pull it for another 8 hours after that, that's when your body starts rebooting itself.
Think of this as a machine.
Yeah.
Since the day you're born, you never gave it a break.
Yeah.
You've been shoveling shite into it since day one.
Exactly. And human body was designed to have a break. Yeah. You were never supposed to have unlimited food.
No, it's marketing. It's like Nutrigrain told you need to eat a bar at 11 o'clock. Kellogg's told you to eat something at 9 o'clock. Pot Noodle told you have a 3 o'clock slump. Do you know, it's all marketing feeding into you. So, look, tomorrow with the kids, if they want a pizza at 1 o'clock, daddy will go with them or whatever. I let it off at the weekend. It's a fine line between this disciplined intermittent fasting and engaging with family for meals and stuff, so try find the balance. For me, it's Monday to Friday, hit the gym, that sort of thing. Saturday, try be the best father you can. Sunday, same situation, because you are tuned out a bit during the week. I have friends that are much more engaged, if you like, with their wives, their partners, their kids. Some evenings are just the head is fucking fried. So you try compensate that at the weekends, or you try obviously bring them away or whatever, and the fruits of your hard work. But anyone that thinks that they can be this sort of laid back person in the family life and go 100 mile an hour what they're doing, best of luck, but I don't think you can. I'd admit I'm a bit of a fucking stress head, but I think you have to be. I don't think anyone's normal that's achieving these sort of things, or your Conor McGregor's, or what yourself has achieved. I don't think we're normal people. I don't think we want to be normal people. I don't want to be fucking vanilla ice cream. It's about
stress, isn't it? It's the volume of stress that you can take on yourself. Yeah. Trump said that. He said you can become as successful as much. I think he formed it in a different way, but basically as much, if you can tackle a lot of stress, then you can become successful.
Yeah, and the problem with stress is it's invisible. Yeah. If you have a sore leg, everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
But I've had situations where you might be sitting in Costa Coffee or something, and you might be just scrolling on your phone, but your head is going 100 mile a fucking hour thinking of everything. To somebody looking over, you're dossing. You're not working. You're fluting around, whatever way you want to put it. But they don't realise that stress is just these things all in your head, you know, and it could be, like I said, you could be in the park with the kids on a Tuesday evening and you're thinking about a fucker that never paid you, or somebody that didn't give you the order they said they were going to give you. If you're interested and obsessed, like I said, that's how it is. It's eyes open till eyes shut. And lucky for me, I've my beautiful wife Kira, she's part of it with me. She's butting up with all the bullshit that comes with me, if you like, and all I want to do is bring back the success, bring back the bacon, if that makes sense. And I hoping that they can see that the support they've given me, including my family, my mother and father, my brothers, that we're getting somewhere with this now. And that for me is like, look where we can get with this, and we're getting there.
I like that you bring your family to the business, because you want your family to be proud of your name. That's why you sell good products, and that's why businesses like that last. Because if you get somebody who brings crap product onto the market, there's no name to it, there's no attachment to it, they don't care. They might have a shite product, they'll focus on the profit, but the product will be gone from the market in a few months.
My old man would be a really hard man to please, you know. He wouldn't go, oh, that's great, well done, or whatever. Not until it's really great, well done. And so that's been good. So, like, you know, everyone says to you, that's great, well done. But there's certain people in your life you really want to hear from, do you know? And he'd be one of them, maybe, you know. And he rang me a couple of months ago and he said, look, he said, that listing you got with that retail place, well done. And that's like better than any profit you'll ever make. You know, if he died tomorrow, I know I delivered that day of making him feel proud, creating a brand. And I know he has people saying to him, I see it everywhere or whatever. And I know he's glad to hear that. So for me, that's what it was about. It wasn't about how much is on a wheelbarrow, how much do we make a month, blah, 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 blah. That's followed in behind the passion. The passion has created a brand and a product that people want, and now it's starting to bring the profit in behind it, thankfully.
Ryan, another important question just before we finish, you know. People seem to think that there's such a thing as an overnight success. How long does it usually take for business to become successful?
I would say, are you ever completely home and dry and successful? You know, as I said, I grew up in a family business. We would have thought we had everything that made us bulletproof, if you like. A couple of bad years, all of a sudden you're vulnerable. So I don't want to come across like some guy sitting here that's home and dry. I'm going to leave here now and call into 3 or 4 hardware stores if I can before lunchtime.
Keep the hunger alive.
I think the rent is due every day. And I don't know anybody that wants to ever stop, that's passionate about what they do. They just want to keep it going. I don't want to retire. I want to make this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and try build a team of enthusiastic, like-minded people around me, which at the minute is quite difficult. But yeah.
If I ever look at a great company, that's what I see. I see people with your attitude behind it who don't retire and they stay with it. I have 2 examples of companies that went bust recently, okay? It was one guy who had, I think, coffee shops, had 6 or 7 of them, and another guy that was doing something else. And they became to the level where they could slack off a little bit, and they said, oh, well, we're going to live in Spain for the summer. And they went ahead for 2 months, left the business on autopilot, and big bada boom, everything went to crap.
I was in Spain for a couple of weeks in July. And like that, you're trying to look at the phone on the sly without it, your missus seeing you, and why can't he switch off? You know, because my missus would have grown up in a family where her father worked in a business, so he could switch off, do the out of office. When he's home at 5, he's present at 5. Do you know what I mean? The work isn't feeding into your head. Thing. So to try get her to understand what I'd grown up in, which was the opposite to that, has proven over the last few years. Maybe eventually she sees it, but like, I'm obsessed about what I'm doing, and like this, if I hear the phone ringing and I'm in swimming with the kids, I go, that guy might want to buy a wheelbarrow or whatever. I don't know what it is. It might be a bad obsession, but look, my obsession is helping deliver and for my family, and that's what drives me. And
business attitude.
You know, I pick my son up at school in a Jeep with orange writing with his name on it, so. As you know, failure's not a fucking option here. You know what I mean? Where's the Bobby thing gone? It's not going fucking anywhere. It's going bigger. So it just puts the pressure on you that's probably needed to not fuck up.
Well done.
And that's it for me.
Well done, Ryan. We're going to wrap up in a few seconds. Just before we finish, how do people find you? Let's say somebody would like to be a salesman for your company. Where could somebody find you?
My email is ryan@bobby.ie, and my phone number is on the website. They can grab me there at any stage.
Are you on Instagram as well? Let's get you some followers there.
And it's available at all hardware stores, good stores I suppose, throughout Ireland. The bad ones are the ones that don't have it. But yeah, and if you're a hardware store listening, I'd love to come and visit you and try get Bobby on your shelf. And if you're a contractor, give me a ring. We'll put you in touch with your nearest agent. And I'd also like to mention the Fixing Company, which, as I said at the start, was the initial family business that I was brought into. And my father has developed a company now that's 37 years in business, supplying end users with fixings and fasteners and stuff like that. So I'm sure some people listening will know of the company, but I owe a lot to that company and to the help it's given me over the past, and I just need to mention it.
Well done. Well done. Thank you for coming, Ryan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.